I want a good boys, Bill, Chris, on the internet one day. Chris said to Neil, let's make a podcast, boy. Come on now, what do you think? Well, what will this podcast be about? Said Neil with a tear in his eye. We got stories that people tell each other from Louisiana Pie to the city of Mumbai. Oh, you mean urban legends. And the podcast was Urban Legends with Neil and Chris. You take care, y'all. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Urban Legends, the long-running, almost painfully so, podcast about urban legends and adjacent subjects. I am 1940s baseball Hall of Famer, Fip Switchers. And with me is a very special guest. Not only is our guest a cat, but our guest is the mayor of the Fukushima Prefecture in Japan. It is Mr.
Meow meow.
Mr. Meow Meow. Arigato.
Arigato.
Hi, Meow Meow. How you doing?
Yeah, doing all right. You know.
How's
Other
it
than that,
been? Oh, very good.
chase a string around.
Very nice. How's it being the mayor of the Fukushima Prefecture?
It's
A lot of
all
admin.
right. Nah, not really. Can't be bothered with that.
Is it mainly a ceremonial?
Roll up my ball, have a
position?
nap. Yeah,
Yeah.
like all cat related things.
Have you enacted any particular policies that we should know about?
Yeah, everyone has to chase a ball around
Okay. Is
an
the
hour a day. You know, it's a nice bit of exercise.
like in China where they make people do exercises before they go and make iPhones for 15 hours a day and have to put up suicide nets?
No, it'd be good because then you'll sort of live longer, so you can,
Make more iPhones.
produce more for that glorious iPhone for
So is the Fukushima Prefecture mainly cats or is it
all cats. All cats all the time.
Okay. Oh, okay.
No need for humans other than to
Supply
feed us and
food.
homeless. Yeah.
Yeah, all that
Just-
kind of stuff.
Well, really, it's the ultimate cat kind of fantasy. What we decided is, you humans are fine for feeding us and paying for us and housing us, but if
Yeah.
you could just fuck off after that, that'd be great. The ultimate cat fantasy. So yeah, just come
very
in,
nice.
drop some food off, and then just piss off really. And so
I was watching a documentary about cats, and there's from Japan actually. There's a cat psychologist, and he was saying the difference between cats and dogs is dogs go the human feeds me, and it gives me strokes and it homes me and stuff. So to me, the human is good like that. Whereas a cat looks at a human and goes,
Mark,
the human feeds me, the human strokes me, the human pounds me, so I must be good. So the cat sees it as like, well, that means that I'm doing...
got a healthy ego.
Yeah, cat's got a healthy
dogs
ego.
just
Yeah,
I mean, if I was a dog, then yeah, I'd probably feel bad about myself as well. It just saps, in this world, Chris, there's winners and losers. There's cats and dogs.
Cats and dogs, that's it. That's
We're on top, dogs are at the bottom.
That is that part of
That's the way it
the
goes.
Ayn Randian book that you're currently writing during your spare time as mayor?
Got no time for books. Got no time for philosophy. All nonsense. Naps and eating. That's what it's all about.
That is what it's all about.
Possibly the Epicureans.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you consider yourself an Epicurean?
I consider the Epicureans near,
As close to...
almost coming up to the level of cats.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice.
The best of your species, and that isn't saying much.
It's not saying a lot, is it?
Not saying a lot. at all.
I'm one of them. I'm
exactly.
I'm a species traitor, I guess.
Yeah.
I had to get my cat's teeth done, and so we had a weight.
Yeah.
And her weight to me, like my weight compared to hers, is the same as my weight is to an elephant's.
Mm.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, I wouldn't mind being an elephant's pet if it was like feeding me. It gave me a warm place to live. It'd be all right.
Good, wouldn't it?
On my computer. Be fine, wouldn't it? I was thinking of writing a sci-fi book where humans become the
Ruled
pets.
over by elephants.
Yeah, the Planet of the Elephants.
Yeah.
No, where humans become the pets of very advanced aliens.
Sounds like an episode of Star Trek that's already been written.
Well, You don't know that, though. It could just
I don't
be
know
that.
that it's
It could just be that I've come up with I mean, you're being very cat about this. It could just be that I've come up with a good idea.
Not impressed as ever.
Fair enough. Well, got any elections coming up?
No, we don't. I mean,
more of a dictatorship, is it? More or less.
It's no, we're an autonomous collective, really. We just do what we like.
Very nice.
You find once you do that, what you got to do is you've got to get people to look after you, and then all of these troubles disappear.
Some sort of big government.
Yeah, yeah, kind of like a huge state. It's fine.
Yeah,
because the thing is, we don't pay any tax, do we? So,
with a standard living wage.
Yeah. See, what I'd say to your government is actually just remove all tax, but then increase public spending 100 times. Not a problem on the first one.
Excellent.
Yeah, just borrow the money. Turns out there is a magic money tree. It's called finance.
Yeah, there is a
by the time anyone finds out, the world will have
money.
burnt anyway. Yeah.
It was made up anyway. Okay, well, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Run that one to the ground. Record time.
Stop. So my cat's being a dick. Wait. Stop. I'm trying to record a podcast. No interest.
You want feeding or whatever? Yeah.
We've got food.
There's cats for you.
There's food there, and she's trying to hide the food so that the other cat can't have the food.
Want some other food?
Even though there's an infinite supply of food.
Give me something else.
Infinite supply of food.
Hey.
Hello.
Made the Hall of Fame yet? Swip bitches or whatever we're calling it.
Switchers. Tip switchers.
You play for the New York Yankees, I believe.
I play for the Yankees.
And you're going up for the record. I think it's been held since Beirut.
Beirut, yeah.
Beirut, yeah. No, Babe Ruth. The tubby lad who used to play for the Yankees, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
You'd know him, being a famous baseball player, Chris.
Well, I used to play with him, of course.
In the 30s.
In the 30s and 40s, yeah.
Yeah.
I was his second baseman.
Okay. And you're still at it. So what do you attribute your remarkable longevity?
You don't have to do a lot of running at second base, I'll tell you that much.
Just because you do so many bunts?
I very much, when they tried to get taking loads of cocaine and speed out of baseball, I went the opposite direction.
Okay. Have you managed to keep that hidden?
I mean,
bribing the right people.
Let's just say that my face shows that it's had a bit of a journey.
Yeah.
But I'm still going. I'm an octogenarian, and I'm still playing second base for the Yankees. And I'm only now, because I'm not very good, but only now am I getting introduced into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. They just decided, we might as well.
Might as well, yeah. Maybe you'll retire.
Exhausted everyone else, yeah.
Yeah, so...
You've also got the record number of pop flies, I believe. I'm definitely not just making up baseball terminology.
I've popped the most flies.
Have you bunted many pop flies into the end zone?
I've done many a bunt because I'm not much of a switch hitter. But
do you know what a bunt is, actually?
Yeah, so you just hold the bat in both hands and go, after you. I believe you have to say as the ball's thrown at you. It's just so the other people can run round, isn't it?
Yeah, you hit it like minimally, or you just let it, as you say, come off so that they have to then run and pick it up. So as you say, an easy way to get to first base. When you're not going for a home run, which of course
not with these
aging
addled
knees and hips. Yeah,
100-year-old arms.
More machine than man now, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah. First cyborg introduced to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
But not the last.
No. It's the future.
It is the future. Okay, would you like to... That's enough of that. Would you
That's more than enough of whatever that was. Fuck's sake, far too much of it.
Yeah, too much. Too rich in my bloods. So, Neil, this week...
It's your story, I believe, Chris.
Yeah, it's my story. Thanks very much. Get your hands off it. Don't even look at it.
It's all right, just having a little feel.
Don't feel it. Don't look at it. Are you looking at my story?
Yeah.
No, why not? It's gorgeous. It's the terrifying tale of Penelope, the monster of the Sierra Nevada. Sounds scary, doesn't it?
It does when you say it like that.
Well, and this is by Brent Swanser.
Hey, Brent.
Hi, Brent.
Thanks for writing the article that we can sniffily slag off. This is the entire basis for our podcast.
It's from January the 8th, this very year.
Oh, up to date.
No, this very year.
This year, what? Year of our Lord 22?
Yes.
2022?
This very year.
This very year, why?
And it has had 284.
What a year it's been, Chris.
What a year. Oh,
and this may be the very pinnacle of it.
This could be the very tippity top of this year. And it's had 284 shares, either on Facebook or Twitter.
Good to know. Popular article.
It is a popular article.
Rightly so.
Not the most popular article.
Not particularly popular.
It's going to be a more popular article than the podcast is popular. So,
yeah.
So sleep easy, Brent. Swanser.
We're just hitching on your coattails, your very modest coattails.
That's it.
Just, pull ourselves up the next rung of the ladder.
The good
scrappy underdogs that we are.
The good thing about having quite a small podcast is literally anyone we take the piss out of is punching up.
Yeah. We are at the bottom punching up. That's what's happening. It's
going to be, if it ever gets any success, things are going to be, we're going to have to think a bit harder about the stuff we say.
They're going to turn around with a quickness. They're going to be doing a 180 and a lot of apologising.
I mean,
we're going to have to rethink our entire personalities.
We'd really like to sign you guys to the radio station, but I mean, would you be willing to edit the bits out of the show where you claim that Simon Cowell filmed snuff movies in the Golden Triangle? No, absolutely not. That's integral.
That's integral to the past. For those who didn't listen to the last podcast, that was part of our scoring round for some reason. Yeah, but it was an integral part of why something was spooky or not. I can't remember.
Exactly.
Nothing spookier than what Simon Cowell gets up to on holiday.
On the Mekong River, yeah.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah. So, Neil.
What started the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Allegedly, all of the above.
So, shall I begin?
Might as well,
eh? So, the Sierra, powerful start. The blocks. The Sierra Nevada mountains, which lie in the western United States between the Central Valley of California and the Great Basin, have long been known as a place of natural grandeur and beauty.
Indeed.
It is a majestic realm full of natural history and imbued with biodiversity, a destination for people to engage in all manner of outdoor activities. Yet beneath this veneer of natural beauty and grandeur are some very sinister and strange stories of the supernatural.
Oh, no.
One of these involved a shambling, hulking monster that caused legends to reverberate around it to this day.
Sounds terrifying thus far, Chris.
You're quite a hulking, shambling monster, aren't you?
Yeah, that's how I've been described by my neighbours, my co-workers.
That's how you describe yourself on Tinder, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in honesty and transparency, Chris. Know what you're getting.
Not true, is it? So
I do have a fine arts degree from.
And before anyone starts emailing, it's fine for me to say that because I'm also a hulking, shambling monster. All right, it's our words for us. The Sierra Nevada have long had tales of a very strange entity lurking in the woods here, described as pale, very thin, almost skeletal woman standing 7 feet tall.
And until you got into the gender there, I was thinking Pete Doherty.
I was thinking Peter Crouch.
I wouldn't want to run into him in the Sierra Madrona, pretty much.
Well,
or in North London or whatever he'd be hanging out these days.
In Camden.
Somewhere in France, yeah. I don't know, he's probably in France or something, isn't he?
That's probably short.
The Mekong Delta with Cowell.
Business. Probably by this point, yeah. So, almost skeletal woman standing 7 feet tall, wearing no clothes, and with freakishly long arms and a twisted, deformed face. And
what used to say?
Filthy, mangled, matted mane of light hair.
One man's meat is another man's poison. Might not be.
You quite like the sound.
Long arms for a hugging, and other things, and a pegging.
More hugging for the bugging.
Yeah.
The bestial.
They say the more twisted the face, the
more
faster the pace.
The more loving in that case. The bestial wretch is usually said to look like a sort of feral and bestial witch, and her reputation is one of a fierce and aggressive presence that will attack people on sight with her sharp teeth and claws.
Well, as we've often said, witches, it's usually just some,
woman,
just an excuse to harass some lone woman, just selling herbs or pins or wanting to vote or something equally awful like that.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that people have stopped harassing women. That's good, isn't it? Things have moved on.
Yeah, it's nice that we've progressed somewhat in the last 2,000 years. We haven't, completely still hung on to all of that behaviour.
So this creature is known as Penelope. And the legend has spawned several versions of where she came from and how she came to be this way. The main story goes that Penelope was once a normal human woman who was travelling through the Sierra Nevada with her husband when they were hit by a brutal and relentless snowstorm that caused their car to career off the road.
I'll just say one thing. Oh, okay, so this is quite recent then. So I'll say one thing as well. Penelope, I always thought that's quite a sort of twee English name. I'm not actually sure what they're...
Like Penelope Cruz. Spanish name.
Is it Spanish?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I don't know, it just sounds quite posh, doesn't it, Penelope?
You think just because you're basically just basing that all on Penelope Keith, the posh actress?
Yeah, or the puppet in wasn't it Lady Penelope? He's got driven around by...
Yeah, from...
limo or whatever.
Yeah, from Thundercats.
No, not Thundercats.
No, I know what you mean. The Jerry Anderson thing.
Yeah.
Thunderbirds. Who are, of course, defeated by the Thundercats.
Actually, ancient Greek in origin.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yeah. There was in the Odyssey. So she was weaving the web for the suitors, wasn't she? Yes.
So yeah, giving your child an ancient Greek name would be quite posh in England, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's quite Western sort of posh. Yeah.
Like Lord Shoes. So. The husband was supposedly killed instantly in the crash, with some versions of the story offering the gruesome detail that he was decapitated and even that his head ended up in her lap. Penelope ran off into the raging storm in a panic, her husband's blood all over her.
Never leave the car, Chris.
Really? Even if it's on fire?
Especially. No, that'll keep you toasty warm. It's awful snowdrift.
You should keep near the vehicle, shouldn't you?
Yeah. So people can spot you from the sky. That's what you do in the outback anyway, but it depends on the scenario, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure the snowstorm in the Sierra Nevadas is the same as the outback rule, is it?
I don't know. How much water has she got?
Well, there's snow.
Well, that's true.
The land is made of water at that point.
Well, you say that, but, a few hours of the midday sun, that's all melted off. I think.
I mean, well, you didn't pick up on the fact that snow is water, so I'm not necessarily going to take tips from you on survival.
You trying that snow. It's going to. Your internal temperature is going to go down.
My teeth hurt.
No. Seriously, actually, this is. I learned this from Ray Mears. You must set a fire, and you've got to melt the snow, because if you try and eat it, it'll drop your internal temperature down.
Yeah.
Dangerously. So you can melt it and then drink it.
Okay. Well, thanks, Neil.
There you go.
Right.
If you've been in an avalanche, Chris, you should
you know
which way's up and which way's down, so then you can dig out, because you can get lost in the snow, and you might think you know which way up is, but you're actually digging deeper into the avalanche.
But surely, eventually, you'd warm up because you'd get quite close to the Earth's core.
That's true.
So
you've not thought this through, Mears, have you?
It's a win-win situation. We're going to have
I imagine what that'd be like 10, 15 minutes later. You'd probably be at the Earth's core. If you put a bit of effort into it.
Yeah, if you put your back into it.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to,
then why you
willing to use a bit of elbow grease.
Frankly.
You know, if you're someone who's just going to lay there under snow and wait for a dog to dig you out, then you know.
St. Bernards are busy creatures.
Very busy. They've got
touting around brandy for every lazy cunt who gets spotted by an avalanche.
Right. You beat me us halfway. So the main version of the story says that she wandered the wilderness for several days, delirious and half mad with grief, living off berries and insects. Very modern.
Varied diet, that's good.
Yeah.
Protein and vitamins. That's nice.
Bit of roughage.
Yeah.
Fibre.
She'll have no problems going to the toilet.
Important. And when another storm When another storm hit, she sought shelter in a large metal drum that had contained toxic waste.
I'll be honest with you, she's not having a good week, is she?
Having a good week.
It's not going well. I mean, fair play to her. I probably would have just laid down and died at that point.
So there's a large metal drum that had contained toxic waste that had seeped out to create a sludge around it. It was not the most...
Are you sure this isn't like a Trauma movie?
I think, it's like the Toxic Crusaders, isn't it?
It sounds like an origin story
of Toxic Crusaders, yeah. Or,
because she's really having a bad day. She goes to have a
George Clooney's first film, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes.
Oh, I've not seen it. To be honest with you, it's one of those ones, though, the title's probably way more amusing than the
actual film, yeah.
Which I assume is just like 5 minutes of tomato puppetry and just a lot of them standing around talking.
I think they just filmed him walking around that tomato festival in Spain where people chuck loads of tomatoes at each other.
Well, that'd be kind of rad.
That'd be rad. Totally rad.
Radical.
All right, Donatello, what's going on here?
The last podcast, I was just doing lots of oi-ois or whatever it was.
Yeah, so you've changed. I'm going
to become a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. I go back to the 80s, like a Sturpy guy, yeah.
Fair enough. So it was not, slightly underselling it, it was not the most ideal shelter.
A metal drum filled toxic waste.
Yeah, it's not ideal.
Not ideal.
But she was apparently so cold and desperate for shelter.
He's a glass half full guy, Chris.
Yeah.
Because we're a couple of miserable pricks.
I know, it's bad, isn't it? It's bad.
It's constant whinge. A bit too much toxic waste in your barrel, is there? Oh, sorry. Beggars can't be cheeses.
You literally sounded like Prime Minister's question time there. So,
fast forward 3 years.
No politics.
The thing is, Chris, if we'd voted in Labour, it would have been worse, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trusted with the economy.
New Labour, new danger. Yeah. But she was apparently so cold and desperate for shelter that she crawled in to spend the night stuffed into the dark and sleeping on a sheen of toxic waste.
When she starts growing that second head, that'll keep her warm.
Well, she gets tall, doesn't she? So,
yeah.
I'm sure the people at Pfizer have been down there to try and find out if they could make a race of basketball players. So apparently this foul toxic sludge changed her and mutated her to become the beast she is known today. Bursting forth from a metal drum to terrorise the countryside. Proud about for prey to stave off her insatiable hunger. With hikers, campers and rangers, the football team, all fair game. Some versions of the story say that she was tracked down by a posse of law enforcement and proved to be impervious to their weapons as she lashed out and killed them all.
Yeah.
There were many tales of people coming back from the wilderness talking of having found the disemboweled bodies of these victims, as well as animals that had been torn apart by something very powerful. And although...
What era are we in here? I'm getting very confused. This is like an episode of Archer.
We don't know yet.
So there's cars, there's posses, and there's toxic waste.
Well, there was always posses. Posses is just a group.
No, I get that. That could be... Wouldn't necessarily be... I kind of tend to think like...
Well, you're thinking
20s
and
before, though. Well, I am thinking a bit of the Wild West, yeah.
But people will still form
that was your peak posse time, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Dossie Posse. That was Party Posse. But
no, that was what's his face? That was
what?
DiCaprio's.
Oh, what? The Brat Pack? No.
That was Frank Sinatra.
Pussy Posse.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone loves DiCaprio, but he won't go out with anyone once they hit 25.
Oh God, yeah, I saw that. There's some graph. It's like his age going up, and on the age of his girlfriend at 23. Yeah, everyone just
yeah. Nice work if you can get it.
It is what it is.
There would be many tales, blah blah blah, and although this seems as there must surely be nothing but an urban legend and a spooky campfire story, there have been quite a few actual accounts from witnesses who swear Penelope is real.
See, I'm thinking we could get DiCaprio to star in the movie of Penelope, because he did that fucking boring movie, didn't he, where he hid inside a cow or whatever. And he did it all for real, like he was out in the woods for like 2 weeks and I can't remember, it was the Revenant or something.
Oh, right, yeah, I've not seen it. It looked boring.
Yeah, it's fucking tedious. But, yeah, so we could, we could,
I think you're going to say we could get
him in a toxic barrel.
Get him to be in the film version of the podcast Urban
We
Legends.
get him driving up with Ben Affleck, and then we blow the car up and then make him go out and sit in the snow for 3 weeks and then go and have a kip in a toxic barrel and see what happens.
Yeah.
Just film all of that.
Yeah, why not? I'm not sure.
Director be getting his third.
I'm not sure our budget stretches to DiCaprio, but
I reckon he'd be game.
He
wants a challenge, doesn't he? He's going to get this. That's how he's going to get that next Oscar.
You want a challenge? Date someone who's 30.
Right.
Not that kind of challenge.
Not that kind of challenge. No.
Not dating another fully formed adult.
Start having opinions and stuff. It's funny. That's off-putting. So,
some of the best accounts come from. Oh, here we go. Here's someone to look up.
Yeah.
Paranormal researcher Lon Strickler.
Right, let's have a look. I smell grifter. Lon Strickler
of the site Phantoms and Monsters, who's been investigating the Penelope legend for years and has collected several first-hand accounts from people who claim to have encountered the beast. Lon, not Don.
Lon, yeah, I got it. He's a Fortean researcher, so that's a good sign.
Is it?
Yeah. In the annals of bullshit, Fortean Times is very high up.
Okay.
It's like the Cambridge of completely fictional nonsense.
Oh, cool. So, one of these is an account from 2012 from a witness known only as LR, who claims that at the
was
time...
that Lon?
Lon, yeah.
Lon Rickler.
He literally just got rid of the ST at the start of his name.
Very lazy hustle.
Who claims that at the time he was camping in an RV with his teenage son in the Sierra Nevada mountains near Tioga Lake. On this evening, around 12:30 a.m., the witness claimed that his son had gone to bed and he was going over some maps. Drinking is what I'm thinking.
Maybe a little
a little bit of
wacky,
a little bit of pot.
Yeah,
pot smokes, pot hash.
But Mary Jane's coming out. But
hello, Mary.
Yeah,
fancy meeting you here. So he was going over some maps. Puff, 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 puff. Don't pass. Sun's gone to bed. No, there's no sun. The sun's made up as well, I think.
Yeah,
I think this guy lives in his RV.
Stoned hysteria. It's literally, I've seen Reefer Madness. I know what happens when you have a joint.
When the stillness...
Lucky he's not torn his own face off.
Well, he just peeled it off.
Yeah.
I thought my face was an orange.
Peeled it off with a spoon. Oh, it was watermelon, he said.
Oh.
Just stunned onlookers.
Yeah, exactly. They call it dope for a reason now.
Yeah. Goddamn right, Mr. Reagan.
So, all right, I'll start this bit again. So, on the evening around 12:30 a.m., the witness claimed that his son had gone to bed during a wild marijuana hallucination.
Yeah.
And he was going over some maps, which we think means drinking moonshine.
Yeah.
When the stillness of the night was pierced by an eerie, high-pitched scream.
Oh, no.
The witness says of what happened next. At first, I thought it was a coyote. But then it was a single scream, and it sounded more human, like a woman's scream. I opened the RV door and stood silent in the doorway. Once again, the high-pitched scream started. This time, it woke my son. We both stood at the
I
door.
was screaming was coming from me.
And I was screaming in my son's face.
Yeah.
We both stood at the door as the scream continued from the direction of the mountain. After about 10 minutes, the scream stopped, and we both went to bed. Something started me when I was sleeping because I woke up in a panic. I looked at my
Coming
watch.
down.
It was 2:40 a.m. Then all of a sudden, the same high-pitched screams erupted outside the RV. As it started, my son jumped out of his rack and fell on the floor. I grabbed my .44 just in case. As we looked out through the windshield in the moonlight, it was bright enough to illuminate a tall, thin creature with light-colored skin. My son yelled, "Zombie!" It didn't look like a human female form, but the face and the rest of the body looked really horrible. It reminded me of an old witch. No clothes, a deformed face, and a long, light-colored hair. Long arms and legs. I figured it stood almost 7 feet, and it was walking away from the RV towards the lake. So, eyewitness account now. What do you make of it?
She was just as terrified as him.
Yeah.
I think Gwendolyn Christie's just got out for a walk in the Sierra Nevada and he's just really judgmental about people's looks.
Well, could be. I'm glad that he had his .44 with him, though. Never go anywhere without your gun.
I'm surprised he didn't let off a clip or two, to be honest with you. Killing his son. Yeah. I think he'd had 2
Killing
guns.
his son and severely wounding himself.
Could have prevented this.
So, all right. It's continuing.
So she was off having a scream, and then she came out to scream a little bit closer, and then fucked off.
Well, it continues. I didn't realise.
Okay.
Because there's no.
She's good because that went absolutely nowhere.
There's no talking marks. I had seen enough. I made sure everything was ready to go and drove out there ASAP. We ended up near Mono Lake. This is bear country, and I know there have been Bigfoot reports over the years. But what we saw was neither.
But I had a Bigfoot.
But what we saw was neither, as far as I can tell. A few days later, I was able to talk to a ranger as he walked through the camping area. He was an older guy and quite engaging. I described what we witnessed. My son also verified what we had seen. The ranger got a serious look on his face and said that over the years, something similar had been reported a few times. He said they called it Penelope, but he didn't know why it got that name. That's all he knew. So that's the end of it.
How does he know it wasn't a Bigfoot? He's no Lon Strickler.
Well, he is no Lon Strickler, but I think he still has eyes in his face, presumably.
I don't know. Well,
I've heard nothing.
A lot of assumptions here, Chris.
I would have thought that had he not had eyes in his face, that might have been part of the report, or maybe they're leaving out specific information,
or the fact that he describes visual phenomena may be a subtle clue that he wasn't blind.
I mean,
now I think about it,
that's just using sonar.
Yeah, that's true. Like Daredevil,
bats.
Yeah,
dolphins. Echo the Dolphin, the most boring computer game in the world.
It's pretty bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Problem with platformers, don't work when you're underwater. Quite
the graphics for the time, no?
Yeah. So
you say that back in those Mega Drive days, that was stunning looking. You don't make games like that anymore, Chris.
Hopefully.
Skies.
Blue skies.
Clear aims,
yeah.
Everything's just set in like some post-apocalyptic world these days, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
get enough of that going outside.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is. There's not a lot of optimism around at the moment. So, Neil, very strange indeed.
Well, certainly
strange.
My terrometer is in the red. Tell you that much.
Terrometer. Yeah.
Terrometer.
And apparently the Rangers actually are familiar with such tales. Another account from Phantoms and Monsters that Strickler also surmises, seems as if it might be connected to the mysterious Penelope, comes from a Steve McLaren. and supposedly happened.
Just standing there with his brolly, looking out into Sierra Nevada,
and
wondering where it all went wrong.
Supposedly happened just after Labor Day weekend of 2014. At the time, the witness was camping in the Mono Lake area around 5:30 post midday. They were loading up their gear into the car and preparing to head out to a nearby creek to do some fishing.
What's your hurry, guys? Do a tailgate first.
Yeah,
have a few snacks.
Yeah, crack a few brewskis. As they drove along the dark road with his wife and stepson, the witness claimed that he saw something thin and pale crawling along low to the ground, and it was so odd-looking that he slowed down to get a better look. Neil, it was a decision he would soon come to regret.
No.
As what he and his wife saw in those headlines was definitely no normal animal, and more like something out of a nightmare. The witness explains what happened next. Now, the first odd thing that I couldn't understand, besides the way it was crawling so low to the ground, unlike a hunting cat, the legs were all wrong.
What?
No, you say.
It's like Omen doing it, isn't it?
Its knees seemed to be backwards, but it was running on them. My thought that it was an escaped sheep or goat that had broken knees and it was running for its life because it was moving so fast. As it came closer and closer towards us, I could hardly take my eyes off those freaky legs, I'll tell you.
Oh, look at them gams. The wrong way around. That's how I like them, girl. Backwards.
You go. I still lay awake at night.
She's a freaky one.
Right.
He's on the wrong way around.
If only my wife and stepson weren't here. I thought to myself, my mind turned into the perverted. I still lay awake at night, puzzled by how they were working. I've not seen any mammal move this way. The closest thing would be a crab or insect. The front and back legs moved together.
It was scuttling along sideways, was it?
It was on its elbows and knees, but the legs were backwards.
Oh, right. It's a bit like that scene from The Exorcist, which goes down the stairs.
Pretty much. This is what he's misremembering.
Yeah.
There was no bouncing, swaying, galloping, or jumping like that of a mammal. The creature's torso, which was about 4 feet long and stayed straight, low to the ground, and its arms and legs did all the work. To me, it looked like a puppet with a marionette moving it along. So unreal, like one of those H.R. Geiger alien creatures.
I like references.
Yeah. It's shown climbing around super fast with only its arms and legs moving.
I mean, I remember mentioning the H.R. Geiger aliens more looking like penises, to be honest with you, rather than crawling around on their hands and legs. But yeah.
Oh, that's what I mean. But we all remember the things that interested us in the movie.
Fair enough.
The things which drew one's eye.
No, I think it's distinctly intentional.
I disagree.
Fair enough.
So many a psychologist. By this time, my wife could only get out, "What the hell?" As we saw it from 50 yards away. Right, what's that? Getcha.
Get a 44.
As we saw it from maybe 50 yards away to about 20 yards. You could see it had no fur at all, just pale, sinewy, stretched skin all over its long, skinny, well-defined limbs. Its broken knees were long, skinny fingers or claws, a foot long or more. The torso
its knees were claws?
I think it's meant to say on it, but it doesn't.
Oh, right, okay.
The torso was maybe the size of a large goat, but it also had broad shoulders, very human. Possibly like this thing normally walks upright. That's what my wife kept pointing out, the daft bitch.
The shoulders made it look human. All of this was freaky, but we both stared intensely as to figure out what it was on my patch.
Yeah, my conservatory. You freaky,
to report,
toxic waste looking creature of the night.
To report back to Violet Cray, Queen of the East End.
Lovely.
When we got closer, the face became more and more defiant. The first second we laid eyes on it, the face and head did not make sense. But I put my mind at ease by saying to myself, well, it looks strange now, but when you get face to face, you'll see a familiar goat snout, or a cat canine nose, or a jackrabbit face.
He's doing a lot of thinking this is going to turn into a goat, and it's clearly... Yeah.
No, the thing looked like it came out of a fucking horror movie, like a space alien creature or a humanoid monster. The nose I was looking for was not there, just a flat opening with two nose holes high up on the face. No ears, just small holes on the side of its head. No lugs. But whatever they were smaller than humans for sure. It had high brow ridge bones, but the skull did not have a huge human cranium. More like the size of a chimp. It had a large chin that protruded, maybe strong jawbones, but this part I totally don't get at all. The eyes I saw in these large eye sockets off in the distance, but I never reflected in the light. As it came nearer and nearer, I saw the colour red. Ooh. Not like a light that was glowing, but maybe many, many veins. The blood within was giving it the darkest colour on this pale beast. As we were within 10, 15 yards away, I only saw sockets and no eyeballs, like that of a blind cave fish.
You're comparing it to a lot of very distinct things, isn't he?
He's a man of the world. He's a
something of a poet. Yeah.
Now, this blew me away. I thought, how this thing turned its head to glare at me with no eyes? Was it a ghost? But just as it passed us and I came to a complete stop, I saw it zip into a chaparral and kick up dust.
Lorraine said, "Oh yeah, that'll be Penelope. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it."
Yeah, you'll get a lot of Penelopes around here.
So, Neil, what do you think of that? It's an interesting looking fella, isn't it, or lady?
Well, yeah,
we've heard from a California surf bum and a Cockney, who are both reliable,
and Chaz from Chaz and Dave. You know,
yeah, Chaz.
They don't, not prone to making things up. Well, I can't really envisage. That was a bit of a weird description. So it looked a bit like a goat or something, and its knees were on backwards.
Yeah,
and it didn't have eye sockets or ears or hair.
Mm.
But was
it had eye sockets, but it didn't have eye. It didn't have reflective eyes. So it had the sockets. So kind of like a skull thing, but with a chimp's, like a chimp
ghost.
skull.
Sounds like a ghost to me.
It sounds ready.
Exactly.
And
I'll be off making a big sandwich, probably large sandwich in the kitchen, and then running away.
And unfortunately, this character continues.
Oh, fucking hell.
This thing had been flesh and blood for at least 15, 20 seconds we observed it. I might add that there was no smell or anything, or that we noticed. I should have taken a picture of the tracks, but I did not think to do so because I was very puzzled. Oh, my head, puzzled. And I thought maybe we witnessed a ghost because of how unreal it appeared. Also, I was with my family.
Can't get whipping the camera out, family here.
Not with the family, and I'm very protective of them. Normally, if I'd been alone, I'd have been on a trail. I would have cut it.
You want working on, boy.
What this thing was doing so close to the campground puzzles me. My wife said, even though I was only thinking it, that this thing seemed intelligent and it was creeping in the dark, mad at us for discovering it. The mouth was closed, but it had tight closed lips, almost seemed to grin. I did not see any teeth, large canine or flat herbivores. Its skull was that of a predator, not prey, with eye sockets positioned on the front, not on the sides. I have seen many extraordinary things in my life, so I've learned to be a great eyewitness. Don't you fucking worry about that. I've seen many an extraordinary thing.
You've seen ghosts, plenty of them.
And I do not
Been
jump
to the
to
Africa
conclusions. I only observe, make note, and evaluate later.
Is this seriously what it says?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
My wife's the biggest skeptic I have ever met. In fact, that's why I love her.
Well,
Not
Doris,
fully-
she won't even believe its sun's going to rise tomorrow until she sees it.
She don't believe the world's round. She does not believe in the many extraordinary stories I have told. She comes from a lifetime of cold, harsh reality. No room for any stretch of the imagination. But now she's a believer and is afraid to this day of what is walking around in those Sierra Nevada mountains.
Well, that's what's going around Sierra Nevada. Who knows what's fucking going on?
What's going on in Whitechapel?
Yeah.
So, can this be related to a story of Penelope? Now, yet another possible sighting of the creepy monster Penelope comes from a witness called ZD, who was staying with his wife at a remote fishing lodge called the Twin Lakes Resort near Bridgeport, California, around the same time. I'm not going to do a voice for this one,
Fair
thankfully.
Dodged a bullet there, everyone.
Yay! I didn't realise that was so long.
Yeah. So long, yet so aimless.
So long,
Actually, that should be our motto.
So meandering. The couple had been heading out for very early mornings for a day of fishing when they saw something pale and skeletal moving around low to the ground in the dim light of dawn and moving in a strange, disjointed fashions, its limbs not moving or bending in a natural way. They slowed down to get a better look. And ZD says of what they saw. Now, when my light came across the creature, it was crossing the road. We got the feeling we totally surprised it. As I turned on my high beams, it seemed to get very irritated, and it turned its long, human-like neck towards us and almost shook its head as it gave us a glare and started to double time along the road in our direction. We were getting closer, but instead of being able to more positively ID the creature, I was only more confused, mostly because the thing's legs weren't broken at all. It was running on them like that. Lean, long limbs, but it was crawling, creeping impossibly low to the ground, its torso no more than 5 inches from the ground. Yet it was moving in a strangely incredible pace. I wondered at first, with such long limbs, why it was so low and not running on the bottom of its hoofs or paws. How could it run so fast? The order of the feet landing was completely wrong too. And if it was really trying to retreat quickly, it was not bounding or bouncing or swaying side to side. Its limbs moved in unison like a crab or a spider, and it appeared to me to be a puppet moved by a marionette. Very bizarre. Marionette again.
Another one, yeah.
They're quite heavily marionette-based descriptors in this area of California.
Well, there's a lot of puppetry goes on there. A lot of artisan puppetry, you know.
Awful lot.
A lot of kabuki theatre.
Too much, some would say.
Well,
maybe because I was so puzzled and troubled that I could not classify this as an animal, it kept me from flipping out when we got close enough to see the facial features. I should describe the features that I saw clearly and up close. As mentioned, a human-like torso, about 4 feet long, no tail, human-like haunches. As we passed it, I saw it was not shaved at all, and it was hairless and had pale skin. Its limbs were long, thin, very defined, muscled, and sinewy. Although it was crawling close to the ground, it had very large human ape shoulders. I've only seen shoulders on upright walking animals. It seemed to be running on its front knuckles or claws. Imagine a sloth, but a foot-long fingers or claws. So it's like that.
It just sounds like Willem Dafoe thus far.
Yeah, or Stephen Merchant.
Yes.
The skull had features closer to a human ape, than any canine, cat, rodent, or cervidae. The neck was thin and long, holding a forward-gazing predator head. The skull seemed to have heavy, protruding eye ridge with a flat curve easing into a nasal opening. Then, even stranger, the mouth. There was no long snout. It was a tight-lipped human mouth with a large chin that almost seemed to grin. Definitely Stephen Merchant. But somehow, I knew that it was not a friendly grin, almost evil.
Yeah.
But how would an animal have an evil grin, right? If that wasn't enough to freak us out, then came the eyes. So far, so almost copy and paste from the last one, which makes me suspicious.
Yeah, I'm sort of looking for a picture of, because I'm struggling to.
Really?
Puppet-like. Yeah, I'm just struggling to envisage what the.
Well, I imagine they're moving like that because that's kind of a puppet jerky motion,
jerky crab-like. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's very useful for people listening.
Yeah, I decided not to point out that.
Yeah.
Podcasting or media.
Describe what I was doing there.
Yeah.
Just shifting my shoulders from side to side, I guess.
Much like a marionette might.
Yeah, just imagine a puppet and then you're halfway there. So at first sight, my headlights lit this weird thing up. As with all nocturnal animals, the first noticeable thing is always a reflection of its eyes in the car lights. Like the rest of the many animals I've seen on this tiny stretch of road, the glove was blown instantly. Well, not in this case. And of all the troubling things I observed, this is probably the most unexplainable. I was driving right into it, and I could see the eyebrow ridge. I saw deep eye sockets, but no shiny large or tiny eyes, just the sockets.
Well, it's easy to explain. Obviously, she's got two black holes where her eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Simple.
Yeah,
as I was sure to peer deep into whatever animals it was eyes as we came within 15 feet of it. Well, when the moment of truth came, my wife and I were horrified when all we saw were deep red sockets, like the thing had no eyes, or there was a red membrane over them. Well, I just about drove off the road and tried to track the thing, but something told me I'm better off just watching it run in a cloud of dust into the chaparral. They're using a lot of the same words as well. So this is ringing. These two accounts are using too many of the same words.
Yes, either one's read the other, or some hoaxing going on.
The friggin' thing turned its head to look at us. It was grinning, all just with its red eye sockets, and it zips away, never breaking its creepy crawl. So that's my sightings. I never heard or saw of the thing again, and I have no idea what it could have been. Nothing adds up. I really feel as if I was not supposed to see this thing. People like to say maybe it was an experiment gone wrong or a mutated, deformed animal, but what I have to say is that this thing wasn't sick or dying. It was strong, aware, fast, and would kick the arse of whoever would mess with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, is this any relation, or is there any relation between these sightings? Well, apart from, what I would say,
they sound identical.
Yeah, they sound identical, and they use exactly the same wordings. Yeah. And both
there's a relation between them.
Remain basically anonymous.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, but
no, it really isn't.
If you're gonna make up stuff, don't at least have the
common fucking courtesy to change a few words around.
But the stories of this entity have gone on to the present, permeating the Sierra Nevada. Is it a ghost, a demon, merely a spooky campfire story, or something else? It certainly is eerie and sinister. Though to think this is a creature is out on a prowl in this otherwise pristine and beautiful landscape, maybe if you're ever hiking, it might be best to keep your eye out. You never know.
And have your 44 at hand, folks.
Yeah, don't forget your
preferably with an AR-15 in each paw as well.
Each pocket.
and a Magnum in your arse crack. Easy access.
So that's about it,
That's
really.
about
Neil.
it. Yeah.
That's
So
about
two
it.
sightings of limited
Three sightings.
authenticity. I would.
Three sightings. Yeah. Cockney, Surfer Dude, and the
I
last
forgot about
one.
Surfer Dude. Yep.
How could you forget about Surfer Dude? He was such a rounded character I created.
He was great. See, Surfer Dude was the most believable to me. Because, like, you know, some screaming and then he saw some stuff. But the other ones are just very weirdly specific and very, almost identical descriptions. But
yeah.
hey.
Yeah. So,
But hey.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at some other stuff. That's pretty much the tale, Neil.
No, fair enough. Should we move on to scores?
Yeah, I reckon so, Neil. So
I think we've milked Penelope.
Milked my my reserve of.
We've squeezed the urban religion juice out of this cloth as thoroughly as.
And now it's time to drink our quarry.
Yes.
And so, Neil,
raise a toast to
to Penelope. Neil, spookiness.
Yeah, it's quite spooky. The kind of eerie nature of the way it's walking, I think that's quite good. So you're out in the middle of nowhere,
uncanny valley, sort of weird, moving human.
I can imagine you go out camping in Sierra Nevada, and it's like you want to be one with nature, but you know nature's got to be respected. Yeah, you can have a lovely booze and a few burgers and stuff.
Yeah, fine.
Nice starry night. You know, you come out there,
try and shoot this
little reefer. Yeah, got your trusty 44. Fully loaded in your RV, just in case.
Just in case,
Chris.
Yeah.
Safety first.
Just in case someone tries to rob you.
Yeah. And then this monstrosity emerges from the shadows. That would shit you up. I mean, this is the one thing. Like he describes all of that stuff, and he's like, "Oh, I was more and more curious." And then I start to do. I mean, I'd be absolutely shitting myself at that point, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but you're not. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is,
maybe I'm a coward, but.
Well, yes, but also,
yeah, thanks, Chris. She's like, but also, that's a given.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you're not, but the thing is, if you're packing, it gives you an extra 50% confidence, doesn't it?
Yeah,
which is why people carry guns.
Yeah, well, it's statistically proven that anyone carrying a gun around their penis is 3 inches longer. That's just a fact.
If you carry a gun and you also take cocaine, it gives you 100% confidence. Little tip for you there, Neil. You cowardly custard.
God, gacking guns. Beautiful.
So, spooky.
Who wouldn't vote Trump? Right, anyway, sorry, back to the point. That's just the thing for me, these eyewitness accounts. I mean, how they're not kind of like being a lot more spooked by this. I can't get a massively fun, but yeah, all of the unnatural movements, like the puppety stuff. That's all quite freaky.
So it's kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting.
So it's kind of walking on its elbows and knees, or legs, like because its chest's really close to the ground. So it's like. Yeah, it would be horrible. I mean, it would shit you up if you saw it.
Yeah, no,
100%.
Probably freak me out. I wouldn't be going chasing after it. So, no matter how much gag I've done or how well armed I am.
Well, you say that, you would.
Say that, yeah, I would.
Yeah, little route to two, and you're
just
on your way.
Just got a 10-gallon hat on, screaming into the night. Get me one of them.
I only wanted a cuddle.
I think it's a solid 8 for me.
Come back, Penelope.
You're out in the middle of nowhere and you bump into. It's such an innocuous name for me as well, Penelope, with this thing rooting around. I mean, because that's not even getting. I mean, that's maybe the eyewitness sightings, but which are definitely not made up. But that's before you even get into all the toxic waste and everything else. I mean, what's happened between? I really want to pin down what period the lady in the car accident happened in as well. I'm guessing 20s, but.
I think
toxic waste, though, that feels more like 50s. Depends what sort of toxic waste we're talking about.
Yeah, I can't find anything.
Technically, could be a long time ago.
I can't find anything that specifies that.
Well, it's all very vague. It's like an episode of Archer where you get sort of bits from the 60s and bits from, Yeah, bits from the 90s and bits from the Cold War. Hey, do you know what? It doesn't matter. It's a nice little tale in it. So 8 out of 10 for me. Spooky.
Yeah, so I think of the creatures we've discussed, how like 70 creatures we've discussed.
You'd go out for a beer with a pig man, wouldn't you? Be all right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Fine.
I assume. Well, a pig man's quite alpha, so I imagine he'd beat me up because I'm obviously a beta cuck soy boy.
Don't give him Gak and a gun. Good lord.
Oh God, no! I'd be
too confident already.
Yeah, he'd claim independence for Cannock Chase.
Yeah. Correctly so, to be fair.
Yeah, and then it would become a special economic area, and it'd be Singapore on.
Oh, that's how we grow.
Anyway,
give the pig man independence.
So I think this is quite like the imagery of it.
Yeah,
I think it's quite a scary one, and it's also in the woods, which are naturally scary because humans are scared of woods because predators there be.
Not in charge out there, are we?
Not in charge.
Soon to find out. We thought
that's where the pigmen
waded in with your 44 and your 5 grams.
So I think this is quite a spooky one. It's horrible. It's sort of kind of human, kind of not.
Yeah.
Kind of moves in that horrible. We always. I think there's something particularly jarring about something with a human body moving around like a spider or something. Do you know what I mean?
It's like the thing, isn't it? When he starts, that kind of thing. It's really uncanny valley stuff, as you say. If like a crab does that, it's fair enough because it's a crab.
Yeah, so I'm going to give it. I think I'm going to give it a 9-0.
Fair enough.
Because I think this is quite scary.
Yeah.
Believability. So slightly lower believability. I mean, what I will say is whether they be true or false, we do have some purported eyewitness accounts, right? And a lot of time, we don't even have that. So that makes it more believable than stuff that doesn't even have that. I think that's fair to say, even though, well, in my opinion,
fair enough.
Calm down, pussycat. But I think we're aware that toxic waste doesn't make people into 7-foot spider human crab women. Yeah. We think anyway, or maybe it does, and the government's hiding it. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to drink it then, Chris.
Well, again, give it a couple of years. And we'll have to.
I think we can revise that time scale down.
It's more. I don't know, but I'm going to give it a 4-0. That's the end of my sentence.
Yeah. Fair enough. Not very believable for me. Yes, you do. I take your point about there are some eyewitness accounts, but the fact that they're from Ronell, the fact that it sounds particularly similar. I don't know. The anonymous ones never are quite the same for me. I like something a bit verified if it's been in a newspaper or a police account.
You do realise what this podcast is about, yeah?
Yeah, I know. Well, no, but it's just unbelievability. It's not. It's just one of the facets. Just one of the quadrants, Chris. Just one of the corners.
One of the
of the ideal urban legend. But also because I think for me here as well, intrinsically, there's not something. I mean, there's a lot of convoluted stuff to this. So it walks like a crab or like an alien. It's based on a lady whose husband died in horrific circumstances, and then she had to go and have a little kip in a lovely bucket of toxic waste or barrel of toxic. It just sounds like a cartoon. The rest of it sounds like a horror movie, and very little of it is verified. It's going to be a 3 for me.
3. That's harsh. Narrative premise, Neil.
Narrative premise. I think there's this. It's not loads to this, but they do actually bother to build up a backstory. If it was just like a crab-like thing scuttering around in the desert, there'd be nothing to say really. But you've got like this horrific thing, and then you've got like that backstory. I think gives it a bit of narrative premise. Although it's a bit stupid, but hey, comic book movies are popular these
Life
days.
is stupid.
Yeah, inherently things are ridiculous, especially in increasing frequency these days. Yeah, it would be a bit comic booky, I think. It wouldn't be like a one for the ages, but I think, you could do like a sort of B movie. John Carpenter could do like a good movie out of this, back in his pomp. So yeah, I think there's enough there's enough here to build on, and to do things like what's she been doing after that toxic incident? How's it mutated her? What's she want? What doing out in the desert?
She wants what all of us want really now. Legacy.
Yeah. Be the biggest in town. Just a high profile on social media.
Growth.
I could be become a huge hit on TikTok. Watch me do my crab walk. It's freaky.
Balls.
Well, so I'm going to give it a 6.
6. See, I think it's not bad. I mean, it might just be that we've had a few with quite weak narrative premises, and it could be recency bias. But I think it's decent. Like, it's got the decent story at the start, of sort of the origin story. I know it's funny that it's a toxic waste thing, but I mean, at least it's original, so I quite like it.
It's original for an urban myth. It's not original, but yeah. I know what you mean. But
it's the first time we've had that.
Yeah.
And that's all I can base it on. Anything outside this podcast to me is just
doesn't
white
exist.
Noise.
Yeah.
White noise. So I think it's decent and it's a good monster. Like, it's
doesn't do any killings is the problem.
Doesn't do any killings, no. That we know. Well, no, it did. It killed all that posse that came after it.
Oh, that's true. Oh, okay, no, I rescind that. Yeah.
So it's done some killings, seemed impervious to bullets. So I think I like it. I think it's a decent narrative premise for an urban legend. It's stronger than a lot of them just because it's got that decent story and an original anti-hero. So I'm going to give it an 8-0.
Nice.
So Reach. So I think it's fairly well known in California. But I'm not sure.
Been on Supernatural, Chris? That's that's all my question.
I think so. It hasn't even got a Wikipedia page, so I'd assume not. So maybe not. Maybe not. That.
I struggled to find it on Google. I must confess, I was doing a little bit of searching in the background. I was trying to find a picture.
So maybe it's fairly localized.
I think it might be.
So with that in mind, I guess I'll give it a 3. It doesn't seem. It seems like. No, I think even less than that. Maybe. I'll give it a 2-0, which is a shame, but that's the way. The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, I mean, it's been written about by a 14 researcher, but that seems to be pretty much where it's come from, and he's not been able to give a sort of verified account. So I'm not sure where he's got the backstory from either. But yeah, it's quite hard to find this one. You'd have to really know what you're talking about to actually. Usually with Google, if you can type these things in, or you can find it on the wiki page. But it's going to be a 2 for me as well.
Well, that still gives us an overall score of 46, so it's not too bad.
Above average.
Yeah, above average. It was really the spookiness because it is quite a scary.
Yes, it's
monster.
definitely spooky.
Spookiness and the narrative maybe that.
It's leaning on spookiness, and that leans into the narrative a bit. Yeah.
Hey man, hey, we all
can't all be full quadrant.
We all lean on something, don't we?
Yeah.
So that's it for this week. If you want to let us know of anything or whatever, then
just keep yourself to yourself, really.
Yourself to yourself. You can email us.
We don't want to hear from you.
urb.legends.podcast@gmail.com. I know you won't. But apart from that, we will be back next Thursday, for possibly, it depends when this goes out, maybe the Halloween special at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time on Thursdays.
When you're listening to this is the week before Halloween. Next week's will be the Halloween special. If not, we put it out another week.
Yeah.
So
cool. Whenever. Right. See you later. Have a good week, everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.